Secrets that anybody can use, well, it's a misnomer. You're saying secrets, but it's something I believe should be taught at the 7th grade level. All children should know about county court records, that what is in there. All children should know their rights as Americans to information. So the first secret I would say is find your local library. Find out what's in it. Probably a cross directory, city directory. A lot of people don't know that. Reverse directory, where it's names and addresses on one side or phone numbers and you can crisscross. And this is great for people trying to locate someone who lived somewhere 15 years ago. For instance, I'm doing a birth mother search right now. I need to date back to 1969 in a small town here in Florida. Basically, I'm going back in time. How do I do that? I go to the city directory from 1969 and see who lived in that neighborhood and track them forward from there. Some of the people are still there, but that's a very, very basic, good tool to use. The second thing is use the telephone as much as you can. The front of every phone book lists things like chambers of commerce, city halls, business and occupational licenses.
Freedom of Information Act is for anybody. You don't have to be a licensed investigator or any licensed individual. You can be just anyone that seeks to obtain information on someone. And the Freedom of Information Act, which is a federal law, has designated certain areas of public records that are open to the public for either reviewing or obtaining copies. Accident reports. I mean, I'm not going to start here with what information you can obtain under the Freedom of Information Act. I will tell you that in the UK, in England, there is not a Freedom of Information Act. And when I first came over here, I was amazed at the information that is obtainable under the Public Records Act or the Freedom of Information Act. Now, of course, each state also has an act, like, for example, Georgia has an open records law.
And obviously, this is the United States, and if we did not have the access to information that is available now, you might as well have a communist state. There are several different laws, however, that cover information that can, in other words, the Freedom of Information Act is really more of a federal act and really doesn't really apply all that often. Statewide, for instance, in the state of Florida, there's Chapter 119, and that chapter is regarding public record information, what is available and what is not. That is more important in the state of Florida, for instance, for my business than is the Freedom of Information Act, which basically would allow me to get federal documents or information on Congress, etc., but nothing really pertinent. So in other words, the Freedom of Information Act is not as important as the local statutes in each state.
Anything that's in public, we have sunshine laws, everything's supposed to be out in the open. Okay. So any documentation that has anything to do with government is public information. You can access that and go look it up. Most people just don't understand how valuable it is.
You can write to the federal government in Washington, D.C. and obtain a complete copy of the Freedom of Information Act, and they will send you a copy of that without any charge.
And you don't have to buy phony information. You don't have to buy unethical, information you're not entitled to have. Because the only thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to get burned in the long run. You're going to give it to an attorney. It's going to get in the file. Okay? Here's an example. You used to be able to get from private investigators work history on an individual, how much money they made, and where they worked for 5 or 10 or 20 years. So the entire work history is reported to Social Security. You're not legally entitled to that information, but somebody was able to obtain it, and they were selling it. So your attorney asks you to get it, you're dumb enough to get it for him, and he's dumb enough to stick it in the file. So one day he says to the secretary, hey, make a copy and send it over to the other side. They've requested it all. Guess what shows up? This piece of paper, and the other side has got it.
Obviously, federal records, NCIC records, state-level criminal. I would be a little reluctant to have, employment credit information yet. That cannot be pulled
That's a
by
whole
the
other
general
ballgame.
public. Because that can be used against someone, and the public has no need to know. I think the question is, what is the need to know? If you want to find out who your grandmother's neighbors were 20 years ago, if you want to find out who used to live in your house. I mean, supposing you buy a house, you find a diamond bracelet in there. You want to know who the previous owners were. I mean, that's a very valid need to know, and that's not a negative situation. That's what you can do with that.
You have the right to know.
You have the right to
You
know.
have the right.
There is that one gap between the private investigator and the client, and that is I'm asking questions for my client. I think I know what he wants to know, but frequently there's a lack of communication. I may not get everything he wants because it's not my problem, it's his problem. So when you do the investigation yourself, you have that county clerk on the phone, you're in that records room, you're looking at those records. If something else crops up in your mind, say, oh, well, I wonder if he also did this, you just walk over there and you look yourself. Me as an investigator, I'm only going to do what you ask me to do, and probably not much more, because my time is constrained. So you, as your own investigator, can go much, much more thorough, can understand your situation much better, and get answers that you need to know.
If they know how to work the courthouse, they can go down there, and in most courthouses nowadays, there's a lot of people there. You just walk in and say, I need to find out about this person, and they'll tell you from what department to go to, and you don't have to be an expert to do that.
And the nice thing too, Mike, is that most of the county court record people, and I'm not just saying in Pinellas County where I'm located, but I deal nationwide with court records, are very, very nice. When you call up the clerk's office in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, or wherever it may be, 99% of the time you get someone who wants to help you. There are no stupid questions. You can call up these people and say, look, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to find out something on my grandmother who used to live in your town back in 1954. What records do you have available that I might be able to look for, and what will it cost me? These people are super nice. They really are. They want to help you. So don't ever feel, concerned that, oh, I can't talk to the county courthouse. Of course you can. It's your courthouse. You have a right to.
Each state has its own set of rules. In Florida, for instance, if somebody runs into you or you have a license plate, you want to know who owns that vehicle and whether there's clean title to it or there's a lien on it. If you go into the court, if you go into any of the any of the state-run places, that's the only place you can get the information. Show them your driver's license, say, I want to know who owns ABC 002 license plate. They'll give you that information and who the lien holder is. That's public information. That's obtainable in the state of Florida. Some states it's not. Massachusetts, a couple other ones, very difficult to do that. California can't do that anymore.
When you're talking about record searches, let's say public records, county, civil, criminal records, small claims records, that's used in a variety of areas. That can be used in locating someone because, of course, it will trace property ownership or it will trace lawsuits on an individual over periods of time. You can use it to background, let's say, a company to see if they've been sued a lot. We have a lot of people who do tenant clearances to find out if a particular tenant has been a problem with other landlords before. Of course, that would show up in small claims court. So you have things from traffic tickets, traffic citations, criminal records. These are all available on the county level in every county in the United States. And it's a wealth of information, it really is.
It's back to the courthouse. The courthouse, the circuit court and the county courts hold a wealth of information because of exhibits involved in the cases. I mean, it's not going to be in every case. I mean, I don't expect to go in there and open a case file and find his IRS returns for the last 10 years or his bank account schedule or, criminal record or anything like that in every file. It's not going to be in there. It's just going to depend on the files themselves. And a lot of attorneys will, as a matter of record, because of discovery in that, which has to go into the court file unless it's sealed by the judge, you'll find that information in the court file.
When I access local criminal records, which is this county only, it will tell me what that individual did in a criminal sense, if anything, in Pinellas County. But if he murdered someone in Pasco County or murdered someone in Dade County, I'm not going to know about it from a criminal search conducted only in Pinellas County. To know that, I have to go to Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which we call FDLE here, and get a statewide criminal record check. That will give me every county in the state of Florida if that individual has done anything. So your scope moves outward. totally outward. The same thing now with civil searches. Unfortunately, there is no one civil database. So if you were sued in Pinellas County, which is St. Petersburg, and then you were sued in Hillsborough County, which is Tampa, the two are not mutually exchangeable. There's no reciprocity, and that is unfortunate. There are a couple of databases used by title companies that will list these civil searches, but they're not as complete. You really should go to each county that someone has lived in to find that out.
It's on a statewide level only. It's not available on a nationwide level except to law enforcement. And on a statewide level, it's not available in all 50 states. It's only available in approximately 20 to 21, maybe 22 states that allow it statewide. And it is available in almost every county throughout the United States, but not every single county. There are a few counties in Georgia and Massachusetts I can think of that do not release the information. They will protect the criminal first.